Hey, I'm Steve Young. You're watching Bay Area Sports Wrap.
Targets to Shakir, completed. This is behind Cooper, who brought it in. Pitched it back to Allen, who's going to go to the goal line and get in! No! Spectacular touchdown! First and goal here, and it's an inside give at the last second. Juszczyk lost the football, and Buffalo's got it, and there goes Christian Benford down the sideline at the 40. Benford got a block, and he's out of bounds around midfield. As this fourth quarter begins, 18-point Bills lead, and Purdy had to come out of his hands, and Buffalo is on it. Let's see if his arm was going forward or not. Ruled on the field. So a very rare occurrence here tonight. Deebo Samuel, kick return, lost the football. Bills say they have it. And in the snow, the avalanche continues.
Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off!
Welcome to Bay Area Sports Wrap. I'm Marko Ukalovic. Alongside me is Ryan Leong, and we are here to recap Week 13 in the NFL with the San Francisco 49ers suffering another terrible, horrible loss in a blizzard that was just freakish to watch on television as the Buffalo Bills just spanked the 49ers 35-10 out there in Orchard Park, where they got 6 feet of snow. At least that's what it looked like there, Ryan. And
yeah.
It was crazy watching that, just seeing all the snow come in like that and just cover the field, and it was insane. And but what an awful day for the 49ers, because not only did they lose their third game in a row to drop to 5-7, but now they just lost again, and this time out for the rest of the season. Christian McCaffrey, their stud running back, an all-pro running back, who now suffered a PCL injury to his knee. We saw the play where he had the handoff. He was going on a sweep, and he took 2 steps, comes up lame, and wow. When you thought this could not get any worse for the 49ers, Ryan, it most certainly did.
Let me add to that for you, okay? Let's make it worse, all right? So not only do you have Christian McCaffrey on IR, don't forget Jordan Mason. He's on IR too with a high ankle sprain.
That's right. They lost their running back. Now you got to hand it over to Isaac Guerrero, a rookie, and say, "It's all you now, pal. Let's go."
He had the one good game, so I mean, it stands to reason that he could do it again. But you'd have thought when you looked at the schedule when the season first came out and you saw Chicago Bears on the calendar for the 49ers' next opponent coming up, you thought for sure, hey, this is a win for the Niners. And now you're like, you know what? May not be a win. I mean, the Bears could play inspired. They're gonna have a new head coach. Coming up on Sunday. I don't even know who the head coach is, but I know they have a new head coach because he did a really good job of getting himself fired the way he played on Thanksgiving. And you want to talk about a turkey of a game? The Bears head coach, Eberflus, is that what his name was?
Yeah, Eberflus, yeah.
Eberflus, what an idiot that guy is. Well, he doesn't know how to manage the clock whatsoever.
Right.
Probably the worst clock management you may have ever seen in the NFL in your life. And,
yeah, it was pretty bad. When Caleb Williams gets sacked with 33 seconds left. And that's an instance you call timeout right away, because you stop the momentum and you want to save yourself, some time. So that way now you can still have another play to throw it either to the sidelines or over the middle, and you can, still have time to get up there to the line and clock it with maybe 2-3 seconds left to try to kick the field goal. That didn't happen, and he gets canned. It definitely was Black Friday for Eberflus.
Yeah,
lost his job. And now, I mean, look, the Detroit Lions are a good team, but, they didn't play great in that game, and they probably deserved to lose that game.
Yeah.
But hey, it is the Chicago Bears are the Bears for a reason, and they've lost 7 in a row now. But again, they're going to come to Levi Stadium this Sunday, and you're right, they're going to have a new interim head coach. I think they're going to really have a big chip on their shoulder, and they're going to come out really more totally desperate because they want to end that losing streak.
Yep.
And the Niners are going to have it all. They're going to have their hands full this weekend out there against the Chicago Bears, Ryan.
No, they are, and they're going to play inspired, and they're going to play in good weather. And the Niners, of course, will have the weather that they should be accustomed to. But at this point, it doesn't matter. I mean, I actually thought the Niners played halfway decent considering they played in a blizzard. First time, I don't know about you, Marco. First time I've ever seen the yard markers and the yard numbers superimposed on the TV set.
Yeah, that definitely was a first for me.
Yeah.
But look, to me, the Niners were hanging in there with the Bills until McCaffrey got hurt because they were able to run the ball against them. I know that's not a situation where you're going to be able to throw the ball a lot, but the Niners were doing their part, and then he gets hurt, and I think that really took the wind out of their sails because after that they never recovered.
No.
And then you have all those turnovers with Kyle Juszczyk fumbling at the 1 yard line. I mean, they score right there. They have a slim chance of getting back in the game.
Oh, sure.
Once you fumbled that, boom, it was over. And then Debo fumbles on a kickoff. Purdy tries to throw the ball and he fumbles because I think his hand just froze on that play. I mean, I think it literally froze.
Yeah.
So again, the Niners 5-7. I mean, look, I know technically they're not out of this because they can still win the NFC West, but considering they've only have one win in that division, and they only have I think one more division game left against the Rams.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. They have two. They finish off against Arizona.
At Arizona.
Still, they're gonna, even if they were to win those two games, they're gonna be 3-3. They have no tiebreakers whatsoever. So even if they end up in a tie with either Seattle or Arizona, or who knows, even the Rams, that division is so up for grabs right now. They would not have any of the tiebreakers. So you can pretty much say that this season ended last night in Buffalo. It really did because, again, when you've lost 3 in a row and look, you don't have Trent Williams. Now you've lost McCaffrey and you lost Mason. Bosa was not there. He wasn't able to get any pressure on this is the 49ers defensive line was not able to get any pressure on Josh Allen, who, did the trifecta. He threw for a touchdown, he ran for a touchdown, and he caught a touchdown, which was on a nice little flip play from Amari Cooper there. So, Josh Allen, if I had a vote for MVP, I probably would give it to him right now because the Bills are really no one thought they were going to be this good. Everyone thought it was going to be a rebuilding year with all the players that they lost in the offseason, and yet there they are, just one game below Kansas City, who again is the worst 10-1, 11-1 team right now in the history of the league because they should have lost that game to the Raiders, man.
Yeah.
I want to go over return to Black Friday, but man, that was a game where. If the Chiefs deserved to lose, it was that game, and they just escaped and squeaked by, man. But yeah, what a cool weekend of football, though. It really was.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of games. I mean, certainly the way the NFL is now, I guess. Well, there were no games on Saturday, but there might as well could have been. I suppose there wasn't college football going on, and the NFL will go back to that. So it's just amazing how the NFL has really found a way to spread out their product over the course of 7 days.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You have 3 on Thanksgiving, 1 on Black Friday, and then you got all the rest of the slate on Sunday. So yeah, it was an interesting week of football. But again, 49ers, I don't see them really being able to go on any kind of a streak. I mean, like I said, the Bears game is going to be a tough game. Then after that, you got 4 days later, you got to play the Rams. I know it's at home, but still, they have no time to rest, no time to practice, and. Who knows if they're going to get Bosa back on Sunday. And I know they just opened up the practice window for safety Talanoa Hufanga, but there's no guarantee he's going to play. And at this point, is it even worth even getting these guys back?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, man. I mean, I just, you know what? If you're the Niners, yeah, you got to start thinking to yourself, maybe it's time that you should just rest some guys. Like, why put them out there? I mean, you mathematically have a chance, but that's like saying that line we should probably insert, from Dumb and Dumber, right? So you're telling me there's a chance? No chance, no chance in hell, probably. But those guys want to think they have a chance. But yeah, they're just what are you gonna do, man? This team has just they're just in shambles.
They really are. It's a team in disarray.
Yeah.
Their head coach just has been making some really just dumbfounded, bonehead play calls. In recent weeks, I know he was trying to run the ball yesterday against Buffalo, but in the last 2 games in this during this losing streak. He wasn't. Again, he wasn't giving McCaffrey the touches, and maybe he knew that he wasn't, I guess, 100%, as we found out now, right? But
Mhm.
again, you don't utilize George Kittle. I think George Kittle only had 1 catch yesterday.
And he had that really bad drop too. Remember he had that
Yeah.
he had that pass that he basically kind of clanked it off of his face mask.
Yeah,
That was pretty bad.
Yeah,
That was
yeah, it was a screen pass that was going to probably end up getting some yards. He had some blockers in front of him, and the weather definitely affected this team for sure. And they were not ready to play
no.
in 6 feet of snow and 20-degree temperatures, with the wind chill making, I think, what, -10 or something like that. But yeah, they were not ready for this game or the game last week against Green Bay.
No.
And I think it's pretty much safe to say that they're done. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. It's really Detroit's now conference to take and to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl this year, because other than them, who else is a candidate to beat them? I mean, I'm sorry, there's no one in the West that's going to do it.
Yep.
Definitely no one in the South. It's just no one wants to win that division either. And then what, you got Washington Redskins, or I'm sorry, you got the Philadelphia Eagles in the East. So maybe they're the only challenge, I think, right now to Detroit, because you got Philadelphia now. I think they won 8 in a row. So yeah, they've been playing good football, and they definitely beat up on Baltimore yesterday as well. I thought Baltimore at home was going to be able to beat them, and that was not the case. They held Derrick Henry in check, and Lamar Jackson as well. And Philly's been kind of surprising some people lately. And so yeah, you look at them in Detroit; those are the 2 teams that I think are going to be duking it out for the NFC Championship, and everyone else is just going to kind of couple steps below them. So we'll see what happens.
No, I think you're right. I mean, as far as the NFC goes, yeah, I think Philly and Detroit are certainly the class of the NFL. And again, as you mentioned, I mean, we talked about the Chiefs. Yeah, they may be 11-1, but that has got to be, I mean, the weakest 11-1 team in the history of football. I mean, they've barely beaten any of their opponents in every game, every single week, and they find ways to win late. But this is not a recipe for like good football. I mean, you've got to have some games where you really dominate your opponent, and they've just not done that all year.
Yeah, I agree. And again, you look at the other team that's right below them, the Buffalo Bills, who I think have been playing the best football all season long. They really, and then they're the ones that handed, excuse me, that handed to Kansas City their only loss. And I think they meet in the playoffs, whether it's in Arrowhead or out there in Orchard Park. I think Buffalo can definitely beat them again. And so, I think Chris Berman will finally get his Buffalo Bills back in the Super Bowl and have them win it. It won't be against the 49ers like his dream wish, but I think Buffalo's the team to beat right now.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree, Marco. I mean, I don't know how much more we can say about this game. I mean, there's not much more to be said about the Niners. They just have no execution whatsoever. The numbers on George Kittle, by the way, he caught 1 pass for 7 yards.
Yeah. And that was like in the beginning. I think I was the opening drive, and then that was it.
Yeah, I don't even have all the stats in front of me. I should have written more of them down. When I was watching the NBC telecast, they put up a couple of pretty bad numbers on the Niners and just how bad it's been for them. So when you look at those negative type statistics, I mean, the stats don't lie, and they've, in a way, it's almost amazing the Niners even have 5 wins. I mean, the way they've been playing of late, they look like they're playing like the Raiders.
Yeah. Pretty much, and the thing is, Raiders' excuses, they just don't have talent on the offensive or the defensive side of the ball, except for like 2 players, Brock Bowers and Max Crosby, and then that's it. And so, the Niners, the whole different, excuses there, because they do have the talent too, where they should be up at the NFC West. I mean, again, you blow those 3 games against the division opponents, and games you had 10-point leads in, at least 10-point leads in, and you blow all 3 of those. And to me now, because they're the walking wounded, this team doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs, because what are they going to do if they were somehow miraculously to win the NFC West? They're going to get knocked around in the wild card round. So I mean, it's just better that they lick their wounds and think about next year when they'll get Dre Greenlaw back. They'll get Hufanga back healthy. They'll get Bosa back healthy. They'll have Ayuk back healthy. So this is just one of those years where, the dominoes just kept falling down, and there was no way to stop that from happening with this team.
No, you're right. I mean, I like I said, I just think, it's hopefully time for the Niners to move on and hope to God to get a win against Chicago, if nothing else for their own pride. I mean, this team is not playing with any kind of sense of pride whatsoever, or just pride. I mean, that's really all you could say about it, because at some point that's what you're playing for. I mean, I really think, again, there's a Super Bowl hangover that these guys never got over. You get that close to the prize and you don't, and you fail. And I really think it really wore on these guys. But the thing that they got to stop doing too, and a lot of fans complain about this, is they go out in the field and they play the boombox music and whatever. I mean, save all that crap for when you're actually I mean, even if you're a good team, don't that stuff's garbage. I mean, there really should be a little bit more discipline involved with this team, and just just try to win the game. You want to play boombox after you win, then do it, but don't do that stuff to try to hype yourself up to take the field. I just think that's just bush league.
Right, it is. And one thing I want to criticize the 49ers fans is, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Facebook and other message boards and on X that they want Brock Purdy out as the quarterback, which, I'm sorry, during this losing streak, none of this has been his fault. Okay, he hasn't had a good offensive line. Trent Williams has been out, and then not only has he been hurt, but he's had tragedy now recently in his life, I'm sorry, but the Brock Purdy doesn't go out and play defense, okay? And he's at the mercy of Kyle Shanahan's play calling, which has not been great. So I don't understand why you wouldn't want Brock Purdy to get an extension. This guy has come in and has done his best, and a lot of times, he's carried the team on his back, and so this is unbelievable, the stuff that I'm reading. But this is what happens when you're just one of those, I guess, fair weather fans. Yeah, love the team when they're winning, but then, oh man, everything sucks when they're losing, and it's just, I kind of laugh at that. It's mind-boggling to think that the reason why the Niners are 5-7 is because Brock Purdy's not a good quarterback. It's unbelievable.
Well, let's close on this then. I mean, let's talk about the tragedy real quick here, because you've got two players in the Niners suffer from this now. First, it was Charvarius Ward, right? His daughter, who I guess was born with certain birth deficiencies. All right, she died very young, and then now you have Trent Williams. I guess his wife gave birth to a stillborn son. So yeah, I mean that's a personal tragedy right there that has nothing to do with injuries. So that's really tough. You just got to feel really, really, really bad for the Niners as an organization when those things happen. So
yeah, and again, it's like if the Niners didn't have the worst luck of everybody right now, they wouldn't have any luck at all. And our thoughts and prayers go out to the Williams family and the Ward's family, because of this, what they've suffered just recently. And so just the fact that these guys even want to get back on the field again is, after something like that happens, it goes to show you, man, these guys definitely deserve a Medal of Honor for that, because I don't know how anyone. I know I couldn't do that after something like that happened to me. I'd be not wanting to do anything with football. So yeah, it's like you said, it's a tragedy and it's an unfortunate, but life and it goes on, and football goes on, and like I said, I guess we'll see what happens, what kind of team the 49ers are going to have this Sunday against the Chicago Bears at Levi Stadium. It's going to be a war of attrition, I think, and hopefully the Niners can come out on top, because again, they are, despite their injuries, they're still more talented than the Chicago Bears are.
Yeah, no question, Marko, no question. Yeah, I mean, again, actually, before we close out, I want to ask you had a good Thanksgiving with your family, I hope. So, I know I enjoyed it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was a very, very chill Thanksgiving. It was just me and my immediate family. We fried the turkey, which, once you go fried turkey, you never go back to oven baked.
Nice.
And, we just sat around, relaxed, watched football, and we had a nice, quiet, stress-free time. And that's what, to me, it makes a good holiday, if anything, if it's stress-free like it was. And how was yours, Ryan?
Yeah, it was good. Actually, for the actual day itself, we actually had 20 people over, catered it, and I had a friend over who she's actually originally from the Baltimore area, so she didn't really have any family out here, so she came out to the house, and that was cool. And then we had a Friendsgiving, watched the Niners really just implode. In fact, I met a guy there named Chi, and he described the Niners game pretty well. He said it was disgustingly funny, which is kind of a good way to put it. Yeah, game was so bad that the guy whose house we were having the Friendsgiving at has karaoke, and so we started singing karaoke songs. After I think the Bills had scored I think when they took when they were up by 20, the 28-point touchdown.
Gotcha.
At that point. Yeah, that's how bad it was.
All right. 118, but outscoring the visitors. Here they come again. Zetterlund. Celebrini! Macklin with a bullet! And it's 6-4!
It's crazy. It's crazy this afternoon. But again, what's the key to the play? The key to the play is turning the puck over in the neutral zone. The Sharks force the turnover. Terrific hustle by Macklin. Support by Zetterlund. That gets the puck loose and over to Celebrini, and the teenagers strike again.
If it's not Smith, it's Celebrini, and we love it.
All right. Well, one thing that we should actually end on a positive note is that San Jose Sharks rookie center Macklin Celebrini was awarded the NHL Rookie of the Month for the month of November yesterday. He scored 7 goals during that span and has really led the offensive charge for this San Jose Sharks team. Here is playing a much better since their 07-2 start. So congratulations, Macklin. You know, everyone's starting to play better. Will Smith has scored a couple more goals. You got Granlund playing great. And the whole blue line is playing really well. And it doesn't matter who the Sharks have in goal right now, whether it's Blackwood, Askarov, Vinicek. Those guys are playing some really good hockey. I think the chemistry is starting to form with these guys. And, you know, look out. They're only about 5 points out, I think, out of the last playoff spot here. So I know it's really early. I'm not going to say, you know, that they're going to make a playoff spot, but it's good to see that there's some excitement now at the Shark Tank, and that these kids like Celebrini and Smith, and Eklund, they're providing that kind of excitement for the fans who've clearly deserved it for the last 5 years, which has not had too much of that.
Yeah, well, let's close on this note. How about this? The Sharks have a 4-game win streak, and the Golden State Warriors have a 4-game losing streak.
Ouch.
So there you go. See, momentum's only as good as your next day's whatever, right? You know,
exactly.
We're not starting pitchers, I guess, is the line here. But in this case, yeah, I mean, the Sharks are playing red hot, and the Warriors aren't. The Warriors have been playing pretty badly the way they've been kind of going. You know, I mean, getting some decent play out of Steph Curry, but other guys just aren't stepping up. You know,
right.
I must break you.
Well, actually, one thing I want to end before we take off is I love the picture of you and Ivan Drago in the background there. Just tell us real quick how you got that.
Well, I went to Fan Expo, and so we had a chance to meet him. And I was hoping to try to get a tagline for our Bay Area sports rep, but we're not quite on the media list yet. But hopefully that'll change for next year. Did also get a photo with Priscilla Presley, and nice. I was actually wearing my Cowboy starter jacket for that one. And the cool thing about that photo was a fantastic. In fact, I had a chance to ask her about being in the James Bond movie. She would have been the Bond girl for A View to a Kill, which was in 1985, filmed in San Francisco.
Right.
The role eventually went. The character's name was Stacey Sutton. Stacey Sutton was eventually played by Tanya Roberts, and Priscilla mentioned to me that it had originally been reported she declined the role because of her scheduling conflict with Dallas. And she tells me, no, that wasn't the case. She didn't want to be stereotyped as a Bond girl. And a Bond girl has evolved over the years. Back in the day of the 80s, yeah, the Bond girl was still pretty much just a femme fatale who's a damsel in distress, and James Bond has to come to rescue her. And I guess she didn't want to be known as that, but now you've got, in just about a dozen years later, you had Michelle Yeoh playing next to Pierce Brosnan in Tomorrow Never Dies, and she was like the female version of him as a Chinese spy. And you've had some other strong characters, Halle Berry, died another day, and then of course the gal who played Vesper Lind in Casino Royale, Eva Green, right? She was a very strong role model for Bond girls, Bond women, as some people like to call them. So there has been a lot of evolution of the character, but I was very happy to know that the question I'd asked her got picked up by Collider, and they wrote a story about it. So I feel pretty good knowing that I had a little contribution in a small way to reporting something on the life of Priscilla Presley that most fans didn't know about.
And that's awesome. It always seems like whenever we ask a question, it gets picked up and written by somebody else as an article, you know?
No, it's cool because even my brother thought, he goes, "Did you ask her about the naked gun?" I said, "No, that's like low-hanging fruit. I don't want to do that." Speaking of which, real quick, the guy who was in front of me, because the way it works at Comic-Cons too is you line up behind people. You sort of form a queue on either side of the room, and hopefully you're one of the first, 3 or 4 people, because that's usually as far as they're going to get.
Right.
So I was the second in line behind this guy who wore a T-shirt of like Reggie Jackson and some other characters from The Naked Gun. I think it was Reggie Jackson in his different teams. I think he was wearing Yankees, California Angels,
Right.
you know, Oakland A's. Anyway, so he asked Priscilla about what it was like to film those baseball scenes, and she just said very quickly, "I'm not a sports person. I don't really follow sports. It goes over my head." And then, of course, I told her later the reason I was wearing a Cowboys jacket was so I could pay homage to her being on Dallas.
Very nice.
But yeah, again, you're right, though. I mean, you know, in these conventions, if you're lucky to ask a question, make it count. Because a lot of times people just go up there and they ask these silly questions. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna dig a little deeper here and see if I can get something decent. And I did. And it was so it was really cool because the audience didn't know. The MC guy who's usually sitting up there on the dais with the celebrity guest, he wasn't surprised too. He had no idea either. So,
Right.
of course, I didn't know either because none of us did, right? We didn't know that that's the reason why she declined to be in a Bond movie. But I mean, that would have been, I think personally, I wish she had done it because that would have been something more to add to her resume. And no knock on the way Tanya Roberts, but I thought Stacey Sutton was one of the worst Bond girls in the history of Bond movies.
Right. That's debatable for sure, but you know that's cool. That man, you got the question to her because again, and then you know the celebrities will appreciate that too if you dig a little deep and ask not just a typical question, but something that you know
made them think. Yeah.
So awesome. You know what? That's a great way to end this. So I'll tell you what, we'll probably be back next Sunday from Levi Stadium, and we'll recap that game and whether it's a 49ers win. We don't know. It might be a loss. It could be a loss, but we'll find out then. All right. So for Ryan Leong, I'm Marko Ukalovic. Thanks for tuning in. And this is Bay Area Sports Wrap.
They could.
It was Bills weather. It was the Bills night. And it's the Bills division.
He's good, isn't he? He is good.
Josh Allen was all of it. George Kittle and Josh Allen had promised a jersey exchange.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Hey, this is Sharks reporter Tara Sloan for Bay Area Sports Wrap. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel.